Hello, dear student in the third preparatory stage. Today, we will make a final revision in our curriculum in the second term. We will try to solve many questions to be facilitated to you. Let's start. First, mention the importance of. This means, what is the importance of? What is the importance of radioactive elements in medicine or in medical field? They use radioactive elements to treat and diagnose some diseases like cancer. What is the importance of a meter? A meter is used in the electric circuit in order to measure the electric current intensity, and its unit is ampere. What is the importance of the peaceful uses of nuclear energy in industry? We use nuclear energy in industry to convert sand into silicon, which is used in manufacture of computers, processors, and electric appliances. Also, the nuclear energy may be used in industry to discover the defects in manufactured product. So, there are two uses of the nuclear energy in industry. Use number one, to convert sand into silicon, which is used in manufacture of computer processors and electric appliances. Also, it is used to discover the defects in manufactured products. What is the importance of manganese dioxide? You remember the manganese dioxide? Yes, manganese dioxide is a chemical catalyst which is used to speed up the chemical decomposition of hydrogen peroxide without being changed or used, which produce water and oxygen. Manganese dioxide is a chemical substance or chemical catalyst which is used in decomposition of hydrogen peroxide without being changed or used to give up water and oxygen. Another type of questions which are problems. Problem number one, what are the changes that occur when you put a piece of magnesium in a flask which contain blue copper sulfate solution? You will put a piece of magnesium in copper sulfate solution. Explain this by equation and how the speed of this reaction is measured. Here there are three questions. What happens when you put magnesium ribbon in a blue copper sulfate solution? Number two, write the possible equation. Number three, how can the speed of this reaction can be measured? Firstly, magnesium can replace copper due to copper is less active than magnesium. That because copper is located below magnesium in the chemical activity series, which produce reddish-brown precipitate of copper. This is the equation. Mg plus CuSO4 will produce MgSO4, which is called magnesium sulfate, and reddish-brown precipitate of copper. You answer the question number one and the question number two. This is the answer of question number three. How does the speed of this reaction can be measured? The speed of this reaction measured by the rate of disappearance of the blue color of copper sulfate or the rate of appearance of the reddish-brown precipitate of copper. We know that the speed of the chemical reaction can be measured by the disappearance of the reactant color and the appearance of the product color. Here, in this reaction, the rate of disappearance of the blue color of copper sulfate or the rate of appearance of the reddish-brown precipitate of copper, which determine the speed of this reaction. Another problem, a student used 5 grams of manganese dioxide which is a catalyst, during the hydrogen peroxide decomposition? Mention why. The first one, mention why. Why the student use manganese dioxide during hydrogen peroxide decomposition? Number 2, what is the mass of the manganese dioxide at the end of the reaction? The first answer is because manganese dioxide acts as a chemical catalyst which speeds up the chemical decomposition of hydrogen peroxide without being used or changed in mass, and produce water and oxygen gas. This is the equation. Hydrogen peroxide decomposes in the presence of manganese dioxide to produce water and oxygen gas. The second question, what is the mass of manganese dioxide at the end of the reaction? The mass of manganese dioxide is constant, which is 5 grams, and it remains without being used or changed during the chemical reaction. This is an electric circuit. Firstly, write the label number 1 and 2. You see number 1 and 2. Number 2, what are the methods of electric cell conduction? What are the methods of electric cell conduction? Number 3, find the value of resistance XY if you know that the electromotive force for each cell equal to volt. This is an electric circuit. Firstly, you had to determine the label 1 and 2. 1 is the rheostat or the variable resistance. 2 is the voltmeter, which is connected parallel to the resistance to measure the electric potential difference between the two conductors, two poles of the conductors. Firstly, number 1 is the rheostat of variable resistance. Number 2 is the voltmeter, which is connected parallel to the resistance. Question number 2, what are the methods of connection of the electric circuit? The electric cell connected in series connection. The electric cell connected in series connection. Question number 3, determine the value of resistance. Resistance equal potential difference division electric current intensity. Again, the law of the resistance equal potential difference division the electric current intensity. The potential difference equal 4 volt division 0.2 ampere equal 20 ohm. Again, the potential difference equal 4 due to the electric cell is connected in series. So 4 is the summation of the electromotive force of the two electric cell. Division 0.2, which is written below the ammeter, equal 20 ohm. Another type of question which are give reason for. Give reason for number 1, radiation causes harmful genetic effects. That's because radiation causes changes in the sex chromosomes composition in living organisms and cause abnormal birth. Radiation causes changes in the sex chromosomes composition and cause abnormal birth or some deformity. Number 2, Mendel chose pea plant to conduct his experiment. Mendel chose pea plant to conduct his experiment. Mendel carried his experiment on the pea plant because there are 6 reasons. Reason number 1, it is easy to be planted and grows fast. Reason number 1, pea plant, it is easy to be planted and grows fast. Number 2, it has short life cycle pea plant have short life cycle, produce large number of plants in each generation. The pea plant produce large number of plants in each generation. Its flowers are hermaphrodite, so easily can be self-pollinated. Again, the flower of pea plant is hermaphrodite, which easily to be self-pollinated. It can be also easily artificially pollinated by human. It can be also artificially pollinated by human. It has several pairs of recognized contrasting traits. The pea plant have 7 pairs of recognized contrasting traits. They are the 6 reasons which able Mendel to choose the pea plant to help him in his experiment or to carry his experiment. Another question, give reason for, on adding sulfuric acid to a piece of silver, no reaction occurs. When you add sulfuric acid on a piece of silver, there is no reaction takes place. That's because silver cannot replace hydrogen of sulfuric acid, as silver is less active than hydrogen. Silver located below hydrogen in the chemical activity series, so can't replace hydrogen of the acid. So no reaction takes place. Another one, the nucleus is the energy store. Give reason for, the nucleus is the energy store. Due to the presence of the strong attraction force between positive protons and neutral neutrons inside the nucleus, and also the presence of the nuclear binding energy. Nucleus is called the energy store because the presence of strong attraction force between positive proton and neutral neutrons, also the presence of nuclear binding energy inside the nucleus. Give reason for, when the length of the wire increases, its resistance also increases. While the length of the wire in the rheostat increases, its resistance also increases. That's because the resistance of the wire is directly proportional to its length. Again, the resistance of the wire is directly proportional to its length. So by increasing the length of the wire, the resistance will increase also. Another type of question, which is what happens when a chemical composition change in the hemoglobin of the blood. What will happen if there is a chemical composition change in the hemoglobin of the blood? Hemoglobin is located inside the red blood cells of the blood. It became unable to carry oxygen, leads to many harmful effects. If the hemoglobin chemical composition change, it became unable to carry oxygen, which leads to harmful effects. What will happen if increase the time of flowing of the electric charge to the double with fixed quantity of charges according to the current intensity? If the time taken to flow a fixed quantity of electric charge is doubled, what will happen to the electric current intensity? The electric current intensity will decrease to half its value. The electric current intensity will decrease to half its value, as the current intensity is inversely proportional to the time of flowing of a constant electric charges. What happens if increasing the quantity of electric charges or electricity flow in a conductor to the double at the same time? If the quantity of electric charge increase to its double value at the same time, in this case, the electric current intensity will increase to double its value. In this case, if you increase the number of electric charges pass through the same time into double, the electric current intensity of this conductor will increase also to its double, as the electric current intensity is directly proportional to the quantity of electric charges passed through this conductor. What will happen if two conductors having the same electric potential are connected together by a wire? The question again, two conductors having the same electric potential are connected together by a wire. What will happen? No electric current will pass through them. No electric current will pass through them, as the potential difference between them equal 0. And we said before that to pass the electric current, it must pass from the higher electric potential conductor to the lower electric potential conductor. What happens if two charged conductors touch and the electric potential of the first is 10 volt and the second is 30 volt? What will happen if you touch two electric conductors? The first one has electric potential 10 volt and the second one has 30 volts. What will happen? No electric current will pass through them also, as the electric current should flow from the higher to lower potential difference conductors. Adding a small amount of manganese dioxide powder to the hydrogen peroxide solution. What will happen if you add small amount of manganese dioxide powder to hydrogen peroxide solution? Firstly, hydrogen peroxide will decompose in the presence of manganese dioxide to produce water and oxygen. And this is the equation. Hydrogen peroxide decomposes in presence of manganese dioxide to produce water and oxygen. What will happen if the wire length of the sliding rheostat increased in concerning to the electric current intensity? If you increase the length of the wire of the sliding rheostat, what will happen to the current intensity? Increase the wire length so the resistance will increase also and the current intensity decreases. If you increase the wire length, the resistance will increase and the current intensity will decrease, as the current intensity is inversely proportional to wire length. What will happen in increasing the concentration of the reactant? What will happen if you increase the concentration of reactant in a certain reaction? As the concentration of reactant increases, so the number of molecules increases and the number of collisions between molecules increases also. So the speed of the chemical reaction increases and it takes less time. When the concentration of the reactant increases, the number of molecules of the reactant also increases. The number of collisions between molecules of reactant will increase also. So the speed of the reaction will increase. Another type of questions mention the difference between or compare. The ways of removing nuclear wastes which have weak and strong radiation. Firstly, the weak radiation nuclear wastes. They are surrounded by cement layer or rocks and placed inside the ground. The weak radiated nuclear wastes surrounded by cement layer or rocks and placed inside the ground, while the strong radiated nuclear wastes cooled using water deeply buried in a great depth of the ground, rests at the nuclear fuel, cooled using water, deeply buried in great depth of the ground. Show the difference between oxidizing agent and reducing agent. Oxidizing agent, they may be substance gives oxygen or takes hydrogen in the chemical reaction, or they are the substance gains an electron or more in the chemical reaction. Reducing agent, substance takes oxygen or gives hydrogen in the chemical reaction, or they are the substance which is lost an electron or more during the chemical reaction. Show the difference between natural and artificial radioactivity. What are the difference between natural radioactivity and artificial radioactivity? Natural radioactivity is the spontaneous decaying of the atom nuclei of some radioactive elements which present in nature to achieve more stable composition. Natural radioactivity is a spontaneous decay of the radioactive elements nuclei which are present in nature to achieve more stable composition. Radioactivity is the radiation or the nuclear energy released during the nuclear reaction or the nuclear pump. Artificial radioactivity is the radiation or the nuclear energy which is released during the nuclear reaction inside the nuclear reactor or in formation of nuclear pump. What are the scientific term of? Number one, it is the flow of the electric negative charges or electrons through a conductor or a metallic wire. What is it? It is electric current. Yes. Number two, is the state of an electric conductor shows the transfer of the electric charges to or from it when it is connected to another conductor. It is the state of an electric conductor shows the transference of the electric charge to and from it when they come in contact to another one. This is the electric potential difference. They are the elements have number of neutrons more than the number required for its stability. This is the radioactive elements or the unstable elements. A chemical process in which the atom loses an electron or more. A chemical process in which the atom loses an electron or more. Oxidation process. It is the breaking up of the existing bonds in the reactant molecules and forming new bonds in the product molecules. It is the breaking up of the existing bonds in the reactant molecules and forming new bonds in the product molecules. This is the chemical reaction. Reactions involving the breaking up of the compounds under the effect of heat to simpler compounds. The reactions which involve the breaking up of the compounds under the effect of heat to simpler compounds. Thermal decomposition reaction. Thermal decomposition reaction is the reaction that involve breaking up of the compound by heating. Reactions depend on the activity of metals, which is determined by the chemical activity theories, as the more active metal replaces the less active one. Simple substitution reactions. Write the balanced chemical equation. Another type of questions which is write the balanced chemical equation. Burning red mercuric oxide. What are the equation of burning red mercuric oxide. The thermal decomposition of red mercuric oxide to give silver mercury and oxygen gas evolves, which increase the glowing of the flame. Red mercuric oxide, on heating, it produces silver mercury and oxygen gas evolves. This is one of the thermal decomposition reaction. Heating blue copper sulfate. The chemical equation of heating blue copper sulfate. Thermal decomposition of blue copper sulfate producing black copper oxide and sulfur trioxide gas. Heating copper sulfate give black copper oxide and sulfur trioxide gas evolves. The sulfur trioxide quickly combine with water vapor in the air to form sulfuric acid, which is very dangerous. So this reaction needs special precautions because sulfur trioxide gas, which evolved from the thermal decomposition of copper sulfate, easily combine with water vapor in the air to produce sulfuric acid, which is very dangerous. Adding a piece of zinc to diluted hydrochloric acid. Zinc will substitute hydrogen, producing zinc chloride and hydrogen gas evolves. Adding a piece of magnesium on copper sulfate. Magnesium ripon plus copper sulfate, it will produce magnesium sulfate and reddish brown precipitate of copper. As magnesium is more active than copper, so can replace copper in its salt, producing magnesium sulfate and reddish brown precipitate of copper. At the end of this session, with all my best wishes, try to solve many questions and try to work hard. See you later and goodbye.